Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Mike, I'm going to ask you to give the invocation and whatever thoughts any other councilman have in regards to Charles Mathis and his passing. Speak at any time after the invocation.
Mike, could we start with a moment of silence?
Good. Let us pray. Let's have a moment of silence. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time we have to come to do the county business. Thank you for Mr. Mathis and the service he gave to this county. So many councilmen here have expressed the knowledge they've learned from Mr. Mathis, and that is so true. I have much respect for Mr. Mathis and all those that have served a long time with their county, Mr. Parrish, Mr. Batchelor, Mr. Rufus. So much respect, so much knowledge lost by their passing. Lord, just thank you for our country. Please bless us and touch us at our point of need. So much going on in our country right now, Lord, and I just ask you to step in, intervene, love, hope, peace, Lord, that only you can provide, and we become to know that. Lord, just be with our sick and our shut-in our county. Just comfort them. Be with those that grieve today for loss of a loved one. Be with Libby and her family as they deal with the passing of Mr. Mathis. So all these things I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that Mr. Mathis was a tremendous asset to county council for so many years, and I truly am going to miss him and his leadership in many aspects, especially on the finance committee, and his insight was invaluable to county council and all constituents throughout the county, not just his own district. He represented all Cherokee County taxpayers really well, and we're certainly going to miss him.
I was
Mr. Little.
amazed at the memory he had. You know, we'd go back in the executive session and we'd pull something up and he could recall it, and that really helped us to see how things went, you know, back then, and where our county had been, and he'd say, hey, we won't make that mistake again, or we need to go that route. So you can't replace that. You know, I know they'll sign up tomorrow, but it's going to be very hard to, you can't. You're not going to be able to replace the experience, you know, that he had served for 33 years, and we definitely still need to remember his wife and, you know, his 3 children and his grandchildren.
Mr. Little.
Go ahead, Tim.
I served with him coming November 28th of this year. It'd be 17 years I served with Charles. Due to Charles is very conservative, him, Rufus Foster, Hope Parrish, and also Mr. Batchelor being conservative, that y'all sitting in that beautiful building right now, because if they hadn't have been so conservative over the years, we wouldn't have what we've got today. And that's one thing to be thankful for, is that building. My prayers go out for his family, because he was a good man. Thank you.
Out of everybody on council, I served the shortest time with Mr. Mathis. One thing that I did learn in these 2.5 years is he was very passionate about this county, his community. Whether he was sick or not feeling well, Mr. Mathis was still here. He was going to make sure his voice was heard, whether he was concerned about something or just want to give some valuable insight or wisdom. So I really appreciated his knowledge and his wisdom and his passion for this council, and especially for this community. And he will be missed, and whoever is going to take his seat, just like I did, has some big shoes to fill.
I agree, and I'll say this: when I first got on, me and Charles had some really good conversations across the room. We always sat on each end, and when we first come back, I sat over there beside Mike, and we had some great discussions. And there's one thing about it: he really cared. He really, really cared, and he was, even like you were saying, Lyman, in his poorest of health, this still had a big priority in his life. So he will be greatly missed, and I can only hope that the person who fills his shoes is up to the task.
What I would say is, and it's probably the greatest respect I have for any man like Mr. Mathis. I've had Marine commanders and stuff very similar to Mr. Mathis. There's no middle of the road. He's either for it or he's against it. And if he's against it, you know he's against it. And not like you see in a lot of politics today. There's a lot of fence riding. There's a lot of middle of the road. Mr. Mathis didn't come from that. And I have a great deal of respect for men like that states their position and holds their position, and at least you know their position, right, going forward, whether it's for or against, and then you move forward from there. And I have a great deal of respect for men like that, and Mr. Mathis was always that way, so absolutely.
All righty. That was great, everyone. Next, we'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Folks.
Here.
Tracy
Here.
Tim Spencer.
Here.
Wayne Little. Here. Lyman Dawkins. David Smith.
Here.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask for the roll call.
Mike Folks. Here. Tracy McDaniel.
Yay.
Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wayne Little. Lyman Dawkins. David Smith.
Next is the approval of the minutes from public hearing and regular meeting on June the 22nd, 2020. Do I hear a motion? We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask for the roll call.
Mike Folks. Yay. Tracy McDaniel. Yay. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wayne Little. Yay. Lyman Dawkins. David Smith.
Next is the approval of claims in the amount of $387,446.70. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. I'm going to ask for the roll call.
Mike Folks. Yay. Tracy McDaniel. Yay. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wayne Little. Yay. Lyman Dawkins. Yay. David Smith.
Next is a resolution 2020-4 authorizing and ratifying the transfer of assignment of two separate fee in lieu of tax agreements and rights related thereto by Ace Bakery LLC to the related entity, the continuation in force of such agreements following such transfer, the execution, delivery of agreements requesting and approving the transfers by and between the county and the transferee, and other matters related thereto. Do I hear a motion for this resolution? So move. We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask for the roll call.
Mike Folks. Yay. Tracy McDaniel. Yay. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wayne Little. Yay. Lyman Dawkins. Yay. David Smith.
Next is a petition to remove road from the county system. It's Scruggs Trail.
Mr. Little, I'm going to ask that you table that, please.
That's good with the council. When he tables it. We're not prepared, is that what you're saying?
I need more information on that, please, sir.
Okay. Everybody good with that? Okay. Okay, next is ordinance. It's the second reading of ordinance 2020-16, authorizing and approving the development of a joint county industrial park, Nestle Prepared Foods, pursuant to section 4-1-170 of the Code of Laws 1976 as amended in conjunction with Spartanburg County, the park. Such park to be geographically located in Cherokee County and to include the aforementioned project, the execution and delivery of written park agreement with Spartanburg County as to the requirements of payments of fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to park property and the sharing of revenues and expenses of the park to the distribution of revenues from the park to the county's related relevant taxing entities and matters related thereto. Do I hear a motion? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? With that, I'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Foltz. Tracy McDaniel. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wade Little. Lima Dawkins. David Smith.
Next is the second reading of Ordinance 2020-17, authorizing and approving the development of a new joint county industrial and business park, Old Castle APG South Incorporated, pursuant to Section 4-1-170 of the Code of Laws 1976 as amended, in conjunction with Spartanburg County, the park, such to be geographically located in Cherokee County and to include the aforementioned project, the execution and delivery of a written park agreement with Spartanburg County as to require the payments of fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to park property and the sharing of revenues and expenses of the park, the distribution of revenues from the park to the county's relevant taxing entities, and matters related thereto. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? With that, I'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Foltz. Tracy McDaniel. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wade Little. Lima Dawkins. David Smith.
Next, we'll hear from our attorney, Joe Mathis.
No report this time, Mr. Chairman.
Next, we'll hear from our Public Works Chairman, Tracy McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This afternoon, the Public Works Committee met at 4:45, and we had a couple of items on our agenda to discuss. The first item was the opening of bid number 2020-20, clearing of timber, which is a 13-acre site on Lemuel Road, Gaffney, for our new public Works facility. We received only one bid on this, and we're hoping it's a motion from the Public Works Committee that we rebid this, put it out for bids again, hoping for increased interest on that. So it's a motion that we put this out for bids again, rebid this.
You've heard this motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion with regards to this? With that, I'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Foltz. Tracy McDaniel. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wade Little. Lima Dawkins. David Smith.
Chairman, the second item that we had to discuss was our Public Works design change order. Along Lemuel Road, in which our Public Works facility is to be constructed, we have a current 3-inch water line. It's required that we have fire suppression in these buildings, which will require a 6-inch water line to service the fire suppression system. Of course, we were unaware of this at the time, but we need the 6-inch line, and the design fee for this design of this water line is $43,725 increase on the design services. It's a recommendation and a motion from Public Works to approve the design fee of $43,725.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with this? With that, I'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Foltz. Tracy McDaniel. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Wade Little. Lima Dawkins. David Smith.
Tracy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, next is the bid opening from Mr. Bratton in regards to our strategic plan, upcoming strategic plan.
Thank you, Mr. Little. As you all know, in this year's budget, you all authorized us to spend some money regarding a long-range plan for the county. What I have taken it upon myself to label that as a community vision and strategic action plan. We put that out for an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications. We don't do many of those. So what we put out was asking for companies to submit their qualifications to us, and based upon their qualifications, you all will choose one of those to negotiate with and enter into a contract with to provide that service. I spoke with Mr. Little prior to the meeting. I did not bring all of those with me. There's no price to read out. They're all upstairs in administration. I will tell you we've had 9 submissions. I'm going to read the names of those to you. There's E.L. Robinson Engineering, System-Wide Solutions, Cardno Inc., Elliott Davis, Evergreen Solutions, the Novak Consulting Group, the Palladian Group, Management Partners, and Lockerbie. So what I will ask you all to do is authorize me to go back and study those, and I'm going to form a small committee made up of me and 2 others in our building, or at least in our organization, not necessarily in our building, to look at those, and I'll bring back a recommendation to you all at our next meeting for you all to authorize me to negotiate the price for, and let's get this project started.
Mr. Bratton, did I read the other day where, you know, this long-range plan would be made up of entities within Cherokee County, would have input, and the Appalachian Council of Governments. Have you talked to the Appalachian Council? Because it kind of reminded me, I thought the Appalachian Council of Governments actually had an arm that helped counties do long-range planning, that may be better for us if they actually have their own entity that helps do that.
They actually do a lot of comprehensive plans, and that's got to do with land development regs and so forth. I don't know of them leading anything like this, Mr. Folks, but I can certainly reach out to them. They would be a part of that discussion. But what we're looking for is going to be what I have in my mind, especially in the current environment we're in, somebody's going to be able to handle the technological side of this, to be able to handle large groups of people, a lot of digital and online surveys, things like that, to where we truly get a community vision put together and brought to you all, of course, with you all having input as well. But I will reach out to them and talk with those folks for sure.
It just reminded me when it said Appalachian Council of Governments that they actually did parts and pieces of this, and I wouldn't want them to think, well, they're going to let us be a part of it, but it's actually something we actually do. So
I'll look with them, but most of what they do, Mr. Folks, is comprehensive planning,
Gotcha.
which is land development.
I understand.
Any other discussion? I'm going to chime in. I want you to, with your committee, to go through it, but I want to throw another part at you. With the 9 that are involved, I hope you give us some type of cliff notes in regards to what each one was bringing. Based upon your recommendation, I think we need to hear them all and not, because it's a county decision, and I don't want that solely resting on your shoulders. I think if we all hear what the group, if you synopsis, put it where we can get the highlights, I think we can all come to agreement based on your recommendation there.
Absolutely. Yes, sir, Mr. Little.
Okay. Any more? All right. Next, we'll move on to Mr. Bratton.
Thank you, Mr. Little. I have 2 items tonight. In the budget, you all approved the purchase of 2 garbage trucks to be purchased this year. As you all know, we recently bid the trash trucks out just a few months ago, or their trash truck out a few months ago, and we purchased 1 truck for $163,630 from Carolina Environmental Services. That's a heel packer sitting on a Freightliner chassis. We've bought those the past 2 years. We've had very good luck with those. What we've done is reached out to Carolina Environmental Systems, which is who we purchased that from, and asked them to give us a price, or asked them if they would stick by that price, or even better that price if we were to purchase 2. They said they would meet that bid price. I did ask them about giving us a discount since we're buying more than 1. And not surprisingly, they said, we're already giving you a pretty good discount, because they knew they were competitively bidding. So what I'm coming to you to ask for tonight is that you allow me to purchase 2 trucks for a total price of $327,260 from Carolina Environmental, and that's using the bid that was last done in this past fiscal year, and that is allowed in our procurement policy.
You've heard this recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion on, I'm sorry.
We have a motion and a second. Now for discussion. Do we have any discussion?
All of these features are the same.
Sir?
All of these features on the
Yes,
truck
sir.
are the
Everything's,
same as that?
nothing's changed. It's the
Nothing's
same
changed.
exact truck that we bought this past year, and that's, we had a lot of input on that. They changed some things, put some things where we wanted it, so, and so forth. Yes, sir.
What's the
Mr.
estimated
Bratton.
time when they'll get here?
Mr. Bratton,
Yes, sir.
is those tandems or is those single axles?
Tandems.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. 90 to 120 days, Mr.
Okay.
Little.
I can't, my glasses, I'm sorry. I can't.
How has our maintenance picked up on the trash trucks that we've had down as far as the new maintenance program and stuff? Are we getting back online with?
We're getting there. The new company struggled for a little while. I don't think you can fully appreciate the trash truck business until you get in there. And we tell you got to roll 9 out of here today. They've actually brought in a technician on their money from Carolina Environmental. So he's a garbage truck specialist who's been there for quite a few weeks now. So they're working along. They've changed managers at our shop, and they seem to be doing really well. Our public works folks, Sonny and Brian, both tell me they're pleased with how things are going right now. But that's an aging fleet, and you all know, and we've talked about it, those trucks take a beating, and it's stop and go all day long. We actually had one involved in an accident earlier today. Nobody was hurt, thank goodness. So we need to get these 2 online. That will be 4 of these trucks out of the 9 that we've got running. That's going to make a big difference to us. They're doing better than they were, but I think they're really getting to where they need to be right now, Mr. Folks.
Mr. Bratton, these trucks do not have the capacity to do the tipping of the dumpsters now, right?
No, sir, that's
We
correct.
removed that.
That's correct. They do not have the reaver system on top.
Right, we don't need that now. So.
Now, will that put your current fleet number to 16? Is that my?
No, we'd be replacing trucks. We'd still be at
So you're gonna
14.
put 2 on Gov deals?
Well, we haven't sold last year's yet, but we would put 2 more on Gov deals, yes, sir.
Okay, so actually, what's our reserve? 3? What do you keep?
We've got 5 in reserve that we
Okay.
try to keep. It's rare that we've got 5. I don't know that since I've been here that we've had 14 trucks ready to go on any given day. There's always a couple, at least 2 or 3 down.
Okay, well, this gives us a whole lot better fight.
Yeah, it puts us in a lot better shape, yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, no,
9.
9.
We run
Okay, I'm
9
sorry.
every day.
Pretty good deal. I think everybody on here appreciates the garbage and what we need to do with regards to that. Was there any other discussion? With that, I'm gonna ask for the roll call.
Mike Poe,
Okay?
Tracy McDaniel, Tim Spencer,
Yay.
Little, Lima Dawkins, David.
Okay.
What else you got, Mr. Brett?
One other item I would like for council's approval on, also in our budget this year, you all approved $21,000 for a redesign of our website. As you all know, in this day and time, you have to keep your website updated and fresh in order for it to be functional. Ours has not been updated since 2015. It's very hard to put things on there the way we need to. Mr. Little, you and I have talked this week, or last week even, about putting some information out about our fire referendum that's coming up. Be sure that we've got it in a prominent place. We don't have that capability. We can put it at the bottom in the same size letters as everything else. So there's just a lot about our website that needed to be gone over, and we discussed that during the budget process. The Palladian Group is a group in Spartanburg, South Carolina, that is helping us on marketing for our fire referendum as far as educating the public on that. They're also helping us with a social media campaign, our normal social media. And I've got a proposal from them that I would like to put before this council for you to approve me to enter into. The scope of work would be from them to do some brand refinement for us, make our come up with a tagline for us, of course, that you all will get ultimate approval of. and that would be prominent on our website. Also would make basically our website would be themed, easy to navigate. They will come up with basically a site map that functions more smoothly than ours does now. You have to really dig right now for a lot of our information. There's no way for us to put current happenings or put something at the top about any change we're making in the facilities as far as coronavirus. So they will come up with a website that will do all of those things. They would work closely with me in the development of that. They would also keep analytics coming to us. Right now, we get no analytics on our website. We don't know how many people's visited, where they've gone, when they were on there, so forth. But this would certainly design that. As we move forward with our long-range plan and other things, we would have the capability to tie in other websites that we may develop to this much more seamlessly. The proposal that I've received from the Palladian Group is for a total cost of $19,500. That is more than reasonable. That I've looked at several websites that they've done, and they're all very smooth. They operate very efficiently, and they look great. Ours is a lot of pastel orange and pale blues. We just need to update it. It just isn't vibrant. It isn't dynamic. And so for $19,500, we would be under budget by $1,500, and I would like the council's approval to enter into this agreement with them. We do have a working relationship with this company, so therefore we would be meeting our procurement policy because of our prior relationship with this company.
That form of motion.
All right, we have a motion. Do I hear a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion to Mr. Bratton with this? All right. With that, I'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Folks. Tracy McDaniel. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Ray Little. Lyman Dawkins. David Smith.
All right. Is that all, Mr. Bratton?
One thing I want to mention, Mr. Little, is we took the step today to all tax-related payments or anything to do with taxes or the auditor's office or delinquent taxes now being funneled through the drive-through again. We've had another case of COVID in our building, so we are trying to take the steps without shutting the building completely down to certainly minimize the number of people coming in. Of course, we've got absentee voting going on for the next 2 months, almost nonstop. So we can't stop that at all, but what we're trying to do is funnel everything through either the online services or through our drive-through. I think I'm going to turn the fees back off to where we can encourage folks to use that online service. We had turned the fees back on for the last month, and but the number of people coming into this building is tremendous. Especially near the end of the month, there's between 300 people a day, sometimes 400 people a day coming through this building. And the few cases we've had in this building when we've had to look at shutting down offices and so forth, it puts us in a really bad situation because we've got to keep the government running. So therefore, I'm trying to mitigate it as best I can. I just want you all to know that we did do that today. We're working with the deputy treasurer and with the auditor, and they were both on board with it. We spoke over the weekend numerous times, and so therefore we took that step today. So no one's going into those offices. Everything's being handled through the drive-through. But I just wanted to inform council that we did do that.
In reference to that, when will you be cutting the fees off?
I'm going to instruct Mr. Bishop, if he will, to turn those off tomorrow.
I think that's only fair to do if you're asking everybody to go through that.
Yeah, and it does cost us.
That starts tomorrow too?
That will start tomorrow. Now, we went ahead today and started the drive-through only. We went ahead and did that today, this morning at 8:30 when we opened. It was drive-through only.
Okay.
Right, and we put that out on social media and everything.
We will, yes, sir. We've told the newspapers and so forth, but we will put it on our Facebook page when we waive those fees.
Anything else on that, y'all? Do you have any appointments? Okay, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mathis.
Mr. Chairman, I think a motion is being requested by the administrator to go into executive session pursuant to 3470 A2 for the discussion and negotiation incident of proposed contractual arrangement.
You hear this recommendation, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? With that, I'll ask for the roll call.
Mike Oates. Tracy McDaniel. Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Little. Lyman Dawkins. David Smith.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to be in order to return to regular session from executive session. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect no action taken in executive session.
You hear this recommendation, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask for the roll call.
Mike Foltz.
Yay.
Tracy McDaniel.
Yay.
Tim Spencer.
Yay.
Ray Little. Lyman Dawkins. David Smith.
All right, do we have any old, new, or other business? If so, we are adjourned.